Welcome to week 5. I made some structural changes that I want to talk about and highlight a couple of things. So, first thing, I like data. And I've been making overview videos for the last number of weeks, and you're not watching them. So, I'm just going to change that. I think that what that tells me is that I'm not putting them in a place where they're important enough for you to see, like this one. So you'll notice a couple structural changes. In the past, I've done required tasks and optional tasks, and then in the overview, it's listed outside required tasks. I have put a link to videos. Here's a video of me walking through this week. But I think in my mind, they've been more important than I've indicated. So that's not on you, that's on me. So the video you're watching is under required tasks in the week 5 overview. As I record this video, obviously this is the wrong one. This is the week 4. It'll be replaced with the one you're watching right now, which is where you're watching it. So let's talk about the week. The week looks like logistic growth practice. So there's 3 growth models that are going to be on the exam. There was the linear growth, exponential growth, and logistic growth. Logistic curves are really kind of cool if you've never played with them before. They tend to model more realistic scenarios than exponential growth because for population, for example, people say the population is growing exponentially, but there are environmental factors that tend to get in the way. And so logistic growth takes into account, well, you can't have an unlimited number of bears in a park because eventually they're going to run out of things to eat and places to live. So logistic growth takes that change into account. You continue to have learning options for this one and some additional resources. Really want to put a pitch in for chapter 4. It's a very helpful resource. So you're going to do some practice there this week. We have an exam that's going to be due on Thursday, and so here's some review work for you to get ready for that exam. As always, you're going to submit what your plan is on your Trello board. I want to encourage you to continue logging your work. Here's the growth exam due the 6th of May. No extensions will be given on that. And then I want to talk about really one of my big reasons for putting this video in here is I'm trying this week differently than what I've done before. So what you'll notice right away as you get into this is the same kind of format we've been doing where I provide learning choices. But now there's only 2 options. And I've taken out the resources section. I'm presenting you with a smaller number of resources than I have in the past, and I don't know if that's a good idea for you. I won't know until I try this, because the feedback's been, hey, this is great, I have a lot of options. I don't know how many of you have been doing option B, option A, or option C. Some of you have told me, hey, I'm option A or I'm option C, but most of you don't indicate. And so I don't know how much you're relying on the instructional videos. I know they're very helpful, but they're not necessarily how each of you wants to learn. So there's 2 things I'm doing this week that are a little bit different. I've taken out option C and that all those additional learning resources. That's not going to stop you from getting in and playing around with option B and just doing the practice that you need, because philosophically it's the same, right? I want you to put on my do not disturb. Philosophically, I want you to be the one who decides how much practice you need. The only difference really is I'm not giving you as many resources. So that's one change. The other change is going to be visible in this next assignment here. I created a discussion where I'm going to ask you to provide some additional resources. They might be things you use when you're doing financial math in your life. They might be stuff that help you learn about finances. In this case, this week we're dealing with simple interest. But we're going to ask you to provide some resources that are going to help us as we continue into doing more with financial math next week. And then you'll also note, if I zoom back out and look at the modules here, you'll also note that I haven't done a status report. You've been doing a great job of giving me feedback on those status reports, and I really appreciate that. I feel like I'm fairly connected to you and have an idea about what's working and what's not. But I'm a little concerned about this structural change that I've made this week. If me not providing you additional resources is really going to hamper you. That's not my goal. And if it's not working, you're going to let me know that, because a lot of you are sending me messages and stuff. So that's the overview of the week. I'm going to look over at my notes here because I wrote down a couple other things that I wanted to mention to you. So I talked about the weekly format. That's done. That's done. Oh, yes. Okay. One thing is a reminder to log your work. So we've been playing with spreadsheets, both in the linear growth last week and exponential growth. You've been expected to use spreadsheets. You've been logging your work either on Clockify, which will produce a spreadsheet, or in Excel or Google Sheets, which are spreadsheets. We're going to be using that data to make some decisions about how are we actually using our own time. So if you have not been logging your data, please, please, please log your data. It's going to make it very hard for you to do an upcoming project without logging that data. And then one more note about spreadsheets. They're an essential tool for what we're doing. And if you were one of those students who did not do any of your practice with linear exponential using spreadsheets, I sent you a note in Canvas. I said, hey, I don't see any evidence on your Trello board that you're actually using spreadsheets. Please provide that for me. We're really sincere about spreadsheets. They're a really incredible tool for human beings to do math that matters, and is actually applicable to how you live your life and make decisions. So spreadsheets, if you're not friends with spreadsheets yet, we want to get you there. We want you and spreadsheets to be buddies. I think the last thing was I just want to remind you about the syllabus. I've been sending some notes to a few of you. There's some pieces in here that syllabi are boring. They just are. I tried to make it as succinct as possible, but there's contact information for me. There's a link to schedule time with me during office hours. If you really want to make sure you reserve a spot during office hours, those are being used more often now. So if you know you need time with me, grab a spot. And then the boring stuff about what you're going to be learning that you probably aren't reading. This is where I want to kind of settle in. We're starting to get more assignments, and your assignments are weighted, which means most of your grade is made up out of your exams and performance assessments. Here's the grading scale. Okay, there's a couple of other pieces in here that are important, and I worry that you may have missed those if you didn't read the syllabus. You have to get a 70% or better on the exams to pass the course. So if you're at greater than a 70% for the course, but your exams aren't, that's not a passing grade. So if you have some concerns about where that lands you, the solution is talk to me. Right? The solution for all of these, if you're having anxiety about any of these pieces or you're not getting the help that you need, your job is to communicate with me about that, and we'll make a plan. Okay, we'll make a plan for you to be successful. We're just starting week 5 of 11. I don't have 11 fingers. 10 plus my nose, 11 weeks. There's time. There's time. So please communicate. And then final project as well needs to be at a 70% or better. Okay. Let me check my notes one more time. I know this video is getting a little bit long. I think that's it. I guess I'll leave you with the question back to practice. It's really important for me that you get to decide how much practice you're doing. I don't believe I can know before we start something new how much practice you need to do. And I don't know if you can know it either. So I guess I'll put the question out there for you that I'm asking too is, how do you know if you're doing enough? What evidence are you paying attention to that says, yep, I'm doing enough? And is there a way for you to do that before the exam? Ideally, there is. Ideally, you don't just think you've done enough and then go to the exam and then find out if you were right. Hopefully before the exam you know. But I think there are a few of you who are maybe rolling the dice by not doing as much practice as you'd like to. I'm not going to manage that for you. You're going to manage that. And the way to do that right now as the start of week 5 is ask yourself that question. Am I doing enough? And how do I know? And that's where Trello can be helpful. You've been collecting evidence of your work. Go back and look at your evidence. Is it leading to the outcomes you want it to lead to? Can you convince yourself of that with the evidence? Or is it just I feel like I'm doing enough, or I think I'm doing enough, but I couldn't really speak convincingly with examples of what I'm doing? If you can't provide examples, if you can't provide evidence, then I think that might tell you your answer is, well, maybe not. Maybe I'm not doing enough. And again, it's just the start of week 5. There's time for you to make changes and shifts so you can reach your goals for this course. As always, please communicate with me if you need anything. I'm more responsive to email than I am in Canvas, but you can get a hold of me however you like. Thanks for watching the video. Have a great day.